Hey guys, Off the Mic Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. We're really hammering home this whole women's wrestling thing because, like, again, one of the things that bothered me when this match between Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné was made was people were clamoring for it to be the main event and make it feel like this big deal. There are so many flaws in this build; it's comical at this point because Mercedes wins another championship on Wednesday night for reasons that I don't even know. There's a minimal build. We've had 2 weeks that have been contained with Mercedes eating steak dinners. This week, she wins a championship in Arena, Mexico. Maybe the most noteworthy thing that happened out of that segment was Toni Storm dressed up as Carmen Sandiego, which admittedly was a pop back and an ode back to a lot of people my age's childhood. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? That was pretty cool. And Toni Storm just is the gift. But there's so many flaws in this build that make no sense whatsoever. Because now Mercedes wins another championship, and um, and now basically we're heading into a women's world championship match 3 weeks out, and it's seemingly just for one title. And I had a friend of mine bring this up in another conversation that I was having related to this, and I was just like, "Wait, she must be putting at least some of the championships that she's carrying around on in this match, right?" No, it's just for the AEW Women's World Championship. So that's a problem for a number of different reasons. If you're going to collect all of these belts and all these accessories and try to make, the women's division bigger, and first of all, nobody's been enhanced through this. They've just beaten everybody and sacrificed it all for this big push, this big belt collector gimmick, which is supposed to be like a reward and ode to Mercedes for all of the career that she's had. And I think a lot of people are just, taking the whole disrespect thing to a different level. Yeah, she was mistreated in WWE and she had a right to leave, but she also walked out on WWE twice. And the reason why she walked out was because she wanted to stand up for what was right. And seeing how this is all played out with Naomi going back there and out being Miss Money in the Bank in her best character ever. Meanwhile, Mercedes is in the worst iteration of her career because she is just on a massive power trip of epic proportions that I have never seen before in professional wrestling. And a lot of us lived through the politics and the bullshit of Hulk Hogan. So we joke about this all the time, and some people just sheepishly throw this out. This literally is Mercedes Hogan. That's literally what this is. So why at minimum, why can't the TBS and the why couldn't you have put the TBS and the AEW Women's World Championships on the line in the same match? Title for title. Make it as big as you can. Why is Mercedes not defending a title in this match? Because that looks bad. Separate from that, and this is my big point, we're in a no-win situation whatsoever at All In. And I love Mercedes as a wrestler. I think a lot of the bullshit behind the scenes and what's been going on in front of the cameras for basically the last, 15 or 16 months is just a bunch of bullshit. Toni Storm is in a no-win situation here too. She is. Because if Toni Storm wins, what does she gain? She beat Mercedes Moné. Toni doesn't need that. Toni doesn't need that. This should be reserved for somebody. If you're going to build up all of this equity and you're going to build up all of this and put all of this gravitas and put all the smoke and mirrors around Mercedes, why not make it go to a up-and-coming star that absolutely needs this? We know Toni Storm is great. She's the greatest women's champion in AEW history. Maybe one of the greatest characters, male or female, in AEW history. And you talk about, like, in terms of, like, stature, this is a massive step down. For the name value of this is absolutely a bigger match than what was last year with Toni Storm and Mariah May. But this year, take the names out of this. This is a bullshit feud. And the stakes are, hey, it's just a women's world championship match. They've not made it feel important. And a lot of people are going to say, man, Mike, if Toni wins, you're going to still rip it. Listen, this is a no-win situation whatsoever for AEW. They can't win in any situation here. Because if Mercedes wins, she's got another championship. It looks even more comical. You sacrifice the whole division just to give her every fucking championship imaginable. And it looks completely and utterly just mismanaged to a level that I've never seen. If Toni Storm wins, then what was the point of this whole belt collector gimmick? We're just going to bring Mercedes down to sides that she can't win the big one after she won every single fucking championship. How stupid is that? You're going to have her win every single championship. How do you think that makes every other wrestling promotion that you guys think that she's elevating by holding their title? So Mercedes wins every single title under the sun that she is capable of winning. And she walks into the biggest event that AEW has ever put on here in the United States and North America. And she loses? What's the point of that? So Toni wins. She doesn't gain anything. She's already the best wrestler in this. She's already the best women's wrestler in this company. She's already the best character. She's already over. People love her. It's one of the main reasons why I thought this match didn't make any sense to happen right now. They're just banking on big names. And that's what's stupid about this whole thing. What about Willow Nightingale? What about Jamie Hayter? What about Athena? What about Megan Bayne? What about Anna Jay? What about any of these other women in this division? Thunder Rosa, who's been thrown all the way to the bottom. Britt Baker's not on television, and we don't know if she's coming back. Like, there's so many people in this women's division that could have easily had this spot, and you wouldn't be in such an impossible position to try and figure out what's going to happen. Let me be clear. I think Mercedes Moné is winning this match, but by no means do I think that that's the right decision. There's no right decision in this match. Either way, you're not going to win because, like I said, it doesn't make any sense to do everything that they've done with Mercedes, which was a terrible idea to begin with. And then you walk into that moment and basically say, hey, you know, the champion of every other promotion can't beat the AEW Women's World Champion. That makes so the whole belt collector thing, everybody's theory about her elevating every other promotion's independent title, it's nothing more than accessories. This is not well thought out. And if you're going to do something like that, at least have somebody young and up and coming who's becoming a star who could use the rub and use the build, like a Willow Nightingale, like a Jamie Hayter, like an Athena, like all of those names that I've mentioned, and then it becomes a much bigger payoff. I love Toni Storm. She does not need to win this match to validate anything about her. And if she does, what does that say about the rest of the women's division that Mercedes has just cast aside? Mercedes couldn't beat them. Every other female promotion's title that she has, she couldn't beat Toni. Like, you guys trying to convince me that this whole thing is a good idea. First of all, the build has sucked. It has not even met the moment of this match. This match shouldn't have happened. And separate from all of that, and what I've tried to illustrate to you guys in this video, there is no possible scenario to get out of this match at all in that is going to be good for anybody involved, including and most importantly, the women's division as a whole. If Mercedes wins, she looks terrible because she's just taken all the titles. If she loses, it looks terrible because she's taken all the titles, but she can't win the one. And like I said, Toni Storm was literally in this spot a year ago and lost. She doesn't need this. She does not need to be in this position. You could have easily run 2 different matches and made this much better for your women's division, but you got antsy. You had nobody over in your division. You killed the whole thing to try and make Mercedes this big fucking deal. And I think it's going to backfire on them. It already has. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.